Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're so excited to have you here. Today, we are looking at gate 61. So this is Inner Truth, the gate of mystery, right? So a couple of things to start. First off, how is everybody doing? It was 40 degrees down in Florida. So when it is that cold here, I know the rest of you are freezing. We're pretty far down south in Florida. My book just jumped. Hello, book. So yeah, how is everybody doing with this cold weather coming through? Or if you're in other parts of the world where it's nice and sunny, let us know how everything's going over there. So a couple quick announcements. First one, so excited. We have the date booked with Barbara Ditlow. We're going to be doing a full hour with her, a live event, a Zoom event to go over 2027, and that's going to be on Sunday, the 26th of January at 2 p.m. Eastern. So she very graciously accepted an invite to come and share with us. We've had a couple questions about 2027 because what we're doing right now is we're closing the loop, right? We're closing the loop of the cycle for the past year, but we're also closing a bigger loop, a global cycle, right? When we come into 2027. So there's some questions coming up about 2027. And as I said before, I'd taken the class with Barbara and she's just absolutely amazing. Let me actually pull up her website real quick. The way she shares is just so inspirational. She's just so non-judgmental, and the way she shares the information to me is incredibly inspirational. Um, Let's see. Here's her website. Actually, on her website, it's pretty cool. You can see there's a an actual recording from a voice clip from Raw where he says that she is actually enormously, like she has this enormous power to explain, right? So kind of cool that, she worked directly with Raw. So this is her website. It's humandesignconsultations.com /secrets 2027. If you want to sign up for that full course, highly, highly recommend it. I believe that's $3.99 to register for this course. Also, just, look up the information on Barbara. We are so, so, so ecstatic to have her sharing with us. Yeah, it's $3.99, which is perfect. And with that, so we have a thread in the Telegram chat where you can put your questions in there. So if you have any questions, just write Barbara questions. Also, if there's any other questions about the workbook, about the gates, about activations, anything you have questions, pop those in there. If you're not in Telegram, feel free to email them. Send in those questions so we can pass them on to Barbara. So she's going to do a bit of a presentation, but the way she's going to do it is kind of angled around what questions are coming in to go over that. Obviously, in an hour, we can't go to the depth of her course. But just to give people a little bit more knowledge, I'm really excited. So Barbara actually presented this in Santa Fe when we all went to the Human Design Conference there. So again, super, super excited that she's going to be joining us. Another thing, I'm sure you've noticed that Kathy isn't with us, and poor Kathy is feeling sick. So she was in Chicago visiting family and she got sick. So she's now comfy in her bed writing a beautiful blog post, which I'm so excited to read about. Very inspirational, sitting cozied up. So we'll definitely share what's going on there. And let's see. So gate 61. Actually, before we jump into that, let's take a quick look in the workbook. If you will take a peek under where's supplemental. So later in the workbook, the beginning part of it has the actual gates and the information and the contemplative questions that we're going through right now. There's also a section, this section 2, right? The supplemental. That first one is looking at where you currently are and what it is that you desire in your life. And then the next page we have is the planet guide. So just giving you a little bit of information about the planets. And then this one is to look at your personal planets. Let me share on here rather. Let's take a look. So here we have the information, so the actual planets, and then over here, you can see the actual activations. So we've already gone over gate 38, which was the fighter. We just came out of gate 54, which is the marrying maiden. And so this is taking a look at your own personal chart, right? So looking and saying, do I have, if you look at your body graph and you look down in for 38, you look in the root. Let me pull mine up. So you can see here for my 38, right? Yeah, there we go. My 38 is colored in, and mine is colored in black. So looking at the difference, is it conscious or unconscious, right? So the black is going to be on the conscious side, the personality side, and then the red is going to be on the unconscious design side. And taking a look and then actually going through and placing in here. So gate 38. So if you're looking at gate 38, for mine, I would put in there gate 38, and I would put in that it's on my personality side, it's on my conscious side. And for me, 38 is in my Neptune. And so just having that awareness of if you already have these activations and where they are. So looking at, what is the meaning of Neptune? What is Neptune doing? So right now we're in 61. So taking a peek and seeing, let me pull this up. So for me, 61 is in my Venus, right? Which is about like your values, what the things you love in your life. And then I have that full channel, the 6124, the awareness. So this is just a little bit of like a deeper dive to look into and see with the planets, which ones you actually already have. And sometimes you have a activation in more than one place, which is also interesting to see. So a bit of a deeper dive for some people. For some people, if you're like, I have no idea what this is, leave it. It's fine. We can just look at the energy of the time and the contemplative questions. You're already doing so much there. But if you did want that awareness, it is in the book as well. So that is the workbook. Going back to gate 61. So 61, we are now coming back into an individual energy. So if you remember gate 31, we were in the individual energy. And then we moved into gate 54, which is more tribal. It's the tribal energy of being in the tribe. And now we're coming back into an individual energy in the head. So this is more looking at, when we're looking at the mystery, the inner truth, what is the inner truth to you personally? What is this as an individual that speaks to you? We spoke about how we have the pink wall that might be worth fighting for one person, but not for another. And that's okay. And that is perfect. That's the perfect expression of it. Same thing with your inner truth, finding what is that inner truth for me, right? What is that? What is that mystery that it doesn't necessarily have to be congruent with everybody else's as that individual gate. So gate 61, where is it? Getting quite proficient at screen sharing now. So let's see. So gate 61, right here, if we look, it is in the, almost said root, my goodness, my brain. This is the head center. And as we talked about before, this is another pressure center. So this is where the information comes through. So your head center is a pressure center and your root center is a pressure center. So this is, the head is about like the inspiration, right? This is the inspiration coming through. It's almost like this pressure to translate our existence, right? If you have an open head, there may be a feeling of trying to answer everybody else's questions. With that openness, you're feeling and you're getting that inspiration from the outside and interacting with that. If you have that defined, sometimes you could just like stare at a blank wall and just get that inspiration. So also remembering, sometimes there's a lot of questioning going on in there that you get to throw that back out sometimes. It's like, it's a two-way communication that you get to throw those questions back out. It's not necessarily that you have to answer all of those questions. So we've got gate 61 right here. And again, this is the gate of mystery. It's that inner truth. And then connected here, if you have 24, so 24 is rationalizing, it's returning. And with 24, that creates the channel of awareness. So the 24 is almost like thinking over and over and over and over again until you get to that rationalization. The way I like to think about that is like flipping a coin, and you flip the coin, you flip the coin until it lands, and suddenly you're like, okay, this is it. So in a way, it's shaping that inspiration from the 61. So being mindful, if you have the 61 right now, but you don't have the 24, that you're going to be feeling all this inspiration, all this truth for you coming through, but there may not necessarily be that rationalizing on the other side. And that's perfect, right? It's that perfect expression, always remembering your beautiful, unique experience is perfect, but having the awareness. So looking through that, how is that showing up for you? So let's see. So the theme about this is really laying the groundwork for a new beginning, right? So we're starting to get to that place to connect in with our inner truth, because the next step in our journey is going to be gate 60. And this is going to be about letting go, right? So being an individual gate, we're going to be looking within ourselves for that inner truth, right? And what is possible, like what's possible for me, what's possible for this life. There also might be that piece of seeking for all that inspiration, right? And seeking, like, what is the meaning of life, the questions, life's bigger questions. But on the other side of that, as a pressure center, there might be that pressure to know the unknowable. So being able to understand that there are some things in life that are meant to be a mystery. They're here to be unanswered, or maybe it's not quite yet the time for it to be answered, that we get to enjoy experiencing it and letting it be, right? So there's an energy of curiosity, contemplation, thinking, and that pressure, that energy to dive into and discover those deeper truths in life. This is very not surface level, right? This is like diving into the depths of us, and uncovering those hidden insights, right? Let's see. Encouraging contemplation. So as we're encouraging this contemplation within ourselves, during this activation, really taking the time to connect inwards, like to connect in with ourselves and be like, am I giving myself this time to contemplate, to sit and to think through all of life's mysteries, and accepting, that there is mystery sometime, not necessarily mystery to be answered, but to connect in with the mystery. And maybe it is answered as well, right? So there's this piece of balance, feeling that balance of curiosity, but as well with patience. So being patient that it might not be answered again right now. And that it's that divine timing, right? It's that trusting in the cycle of times, trusting in that movement that will be uncovered when it's time for it. And there's this emphasis on the spiritual journey, and trusting in the unknown. So for gate 61, let's take a look here. Oh my goodness. Hey, this is where we're going. Gate 41, eventually. Not quite. Gate 60. So 61, the contemplative questions that we are looking at right now. And again, just a reminder that these questions are here to help start that process and to connect in with it. But if there's other questions that are calling to you, that are speaking to you right now, especially in this individual time of where it gets to be, what is my mystery? What is my inner truth? Follow that and trust it so deeply, right? So the first question here is, what deeper truths am I seeking? How can I embrace the mystery of life without needing all the answers right now? So starting with that place of, what are these mysteries in my life? What are these inner truths that are coming through? Another piece with this is that sometimes your truth, your inner truth, might be a little bit esoteric and it might be a little bit different than what everybody else's is, and that's perfect. It gets to be your inner truth. So this is the permission to connect in with, if you needed a permission. Sometimes I love to give myself and go, permission to be me, permission to feel how I feel, even if somebody else doesn't feel the same way. This is that permission to connect in with that part of you. And so embracing that, but without the need to answer it, which can be hard, right? Because we feel like, oh, there's a question. What's the answer? Let me find the answer. Maybe not. Maybe you're not connected to that need, right? I always feel like I need to check that box. I need to know what it is. So this one's a little bit tricky for me personally. But sitting in that and reveling in the mystery, and maybe the mystery's there to remain a mystery, and still feeling great about that. Next question. How can I distinguish between the pressure to know and the peace that comes from trusting the unknown? Right? So how can you feel and how can you distinguish between the pressure, that pressure to know, right? How can you disconnect from that pressure, but like feel it and connect with? So embracing that pressure, embracing this feeling of this wanting to know. At the same time, step into the peace of going, maybe it is unknown. And that's just as beautiful as an answer, right? So how do you do that? How does that show up for you? What are the feelings that come up? What's happening as you experience this pressure within you? Next question. How can I connect in with my inner knowing to find the inspiration that is there based on my own authority, right? We all have our unique authorities within us. And if anybody needs help finding out what theirs is and connecting in, please send a message. I'm happy to help with that. And own my own power, my own power. Do you see it's very individual, right? It's my own power, my inner knowing, to realize my potential, not the potential that everybody's like, oh, you'd be really great at this, or oh, you do this thing. Connecting in with what is that inside of you. Bringing back the power within me rather than searching outside, because so often we search in the outside world and we go, how do I find meaning? How do I find approval outside of me? Doing the right thing on the outside, but now starting to bring that back within ourselves, that inspiration. What's inspiring you? What feels good to you in this individual gate, right? What is that mystery for you? And instead of searching outside and having all of your energy, your power go out, go. So let's actually, for a second, let's just close our eyes and just sit here for a moment and just start to notice, where is my energy? Where is my power? And sometimes at the end of the day, when I'm sitting in my room, I just say, I call back all my energy. I call back all my energy to myself and just start to notice. And again, never, ever, ever, ever to beat yourself up, just that awareness and starting to connect in with what is my inner truth. Where am I searching for my inner truth? Because when I say that, what I feel is I'm looking outside. I'm reading the books, I'm doing the things, I'm searching outside and starting to feel that energy and starting to pull it back within yourself, knowing that you have the answers within you, knowing that it's here and starting to feel that coming back and circulating within your body, within you, and looking within for it rather than searching outside. Next question. How can I cultivate patience? Oof, this one's a hard one for me. Patience in my search for understanding. I want to know yesterday. I don't know if you're like me, but a lot of times stepping into that patience is a very Laborious activity for me. It's definitely, I have to think about it. It's not natural at first. I have to really connect in and go, okay, accepting and finding then the beauty in it. So how can I cultivate patience in my search for understanding? And here's the tricky part, allowing insights to come to me rather than forcing answers. Because so many times I'm like, I'm on this search. I'm going to find it. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to listen to the podcast. I'm going to go to the event and do the thing, and I'm going to find it. But having that patience, how does that feel in your body? For me, it can feel a little bit hard sometimes, just even to sit still. I'm like, I want to do all of the things and move and do. So to sit and come back to who you are, right? So, how do you start to support yourself in this practice of patience, right? In this allowing of insight to come to you from inside. Being being in such a hurry to move forward that I don't give myself time to access it. So starting to really look at, where do I feel this in my body? I feel called out by my own question here. um, being in such a hurry to move forward and go and do and do and create and go and move, that I'm really not supporting myself and giving myself that space, giving myself, bringing that power back within me to find my own answers, right? To find that inner truth, to access what's there inside of me. Let me know if that's you as well. And then the last question is, how can I foster my search for deep inner knowing and wisdom? What are the things uniquely for you that help you connect in with this, right? How do you start incorporating these into your life every day if possible? What does that look like? Are you journaling every morning? Are you journaling every night? Are you taking a candlelit bath? Like, what are the things for you? Maybe you're going, I don't, that doesn't connect for me. What are those things? Start exploring, right? Start finding, what are these things? Make it a fun game. Like, I get to find out, not, oh God, I have to find out now how to do this, but like, oh, what if I try this? Is it going to work? Oh, it didn't work. Well, that's okay. Let's try something else. This is like a game to find. I get to find the things that help me, right? In this inner search. And also feel free to share, this is something I do that helps me connect inwards, because maybe it'll help someone else that they wouldn't have even thought, like, well, let me try it. And it's in the trying, it's in the experiencing your unique experience of it that you will find out if that is right for you, following that authority, that inner authority. And if it's not right for you, that's okay too. And you get to go, that's fine. That's completely okay. This works for all these other people. It doesn't work for me. That's okay. What works for me? So how do I foster this? How do I grow this? How do I connect in deeply with this inner knowing and this wisdom that's there inside of me? Trusting my personal insight and understanding, even when, now that this is really, really, really important, even when it isn't objective, okay, or universally accepted. So what does that look like? That could be where you're like, I have this feeling, and for me, it's, I'm trying to think of an example. I'm seeing my Christmas tree. My Christmas tree is still up. For me, it's the Christmas tree. And maybe that's something that isn't universally accepted. I have a fake Christmas tree. And for me, maybe this is the thing. And for me, this feels good. That's incredibly objective. This is a terrible example, but just go with me here. So if there's this thing and you're like, this is the truth for me. This is the truth. This is my inner knowing. but it doesn't feel like it has, like, you're like, where's the substance? How do I prove it? How do I, that's not the piece you need to do. It's trusting in it, especially when it's not objective, right? Sometimes this inner knowing can be a little bit more esoteric. And when it is not accepted by others, your inner truth does not have to be somebody else's inner truth. We do not have to have the exact same inner truth. That is the beauty of it. We are all here. It's the science of differentiation. We're all here to experience it differently, to live it differently, to be different. And that's perfect. It doesn't make it wrong. It is not wrong if it's not the same as somebody else's. So trusting in yourself so deeply that when you know it, you feel it, you find it out, that you can deeply, deeply connect in with it, and you don't go, no, that doesn't make sense. That's not what everybody else is doing. That's not what everybody else is feeling. That's okay. Let them feel what they want to feel. Let them do what they want to do. What is your unique inner truth? And I'd absolutely love, love, love if any of you want to share in the Telegram or again in email, like what are some of your inner truths, especially the ones that feel like, I don't know if anybody else has this. I don't know if anybody else experiences this, because this right here, this is a safe container to be you, to be uniquely you, that permission to be you, live life as you, and to explore your unique experience of this, right? What does your stained glass window look like? What is it? What does it look like when you shine your light through your glass window? What is the picture that comes up? Especially because it's meant to be different, right? It's meant to be you and your experience. So let me know if anybody has any questions or if you want to share anything about your contemplative questions from last week, from gate 54, marrying maiden, what you married into your life. So go, let's move forward. What am I taking? What am I not taking? Who am I taking? Who am I not taking? And those environments too. That was a big one for me, going through that contemplation of like, what feels good for me? Where are the places where I feel inspired? And that could play into even with your inner truth, right? Yes, yes, absolutely. Sharon just shared the harmonic gate of 32. Yes. And so how does this, how does that environment shape you connecting in with that mystery and that inner truth? Love to hear from you all. And yeah, have a beautiful rest of your day. Let's see, we will be coming on next to do gate 60, which is the gate of acceptance limitation. And this is going to be particularly important. This is the last one, the last activation that we're going to go through before before we go into gate 41. And gate 41 is the starting of the new cycle. And that is going to be where we start the new cycle for the next year. So thanks for being here. I'll chat with you later. Bye.